Hi, welcome to another episode of Hot Takes and ready for the bullfest, for the want of a better word. The spin and lies that pour forth from the gash that is Rachel Reeves' lying mouth. I've heard some BS in my time, but this is BS. This is gold standard. They'll be talking about this in years to come in politics classes, how to lie to Parliament and get away with it. She gets to her feet, presumably with the aid of alcohol, probably a bit of mother's ruin, because what she's about to say is basically what comes out the mouth of a drunken woman, high on her own farts. I mean, I bet she huffs them. But she begins with the tale of the fake £22 billion black hole, which we know didn't exist. They know didn't exist. They know we know it didn't exist, yet they keep up the pretense because, hey, if you're going to lie big and stick with it. She then starts talking about, we expect 4 cuts in interest rates over the next year. I'm going to call bullshit on that one because the Bank of England have already indicated that there'll be no rise this month, coming, I think, the end of this week. Is it this week? Yeah, it might be this Friday. I think it's this Friday. They've already said that's not going to happen. There's going to be a hold this month. And they're looking very closely at inflation, and so it may even rise. So straight in, bullshit about the £22 billion black hole, bullshit about the rises. She can't help herself. Then she says, we are renewing Britain. And if by renewing you mean destroying, I'm right on there, sister. But you're not renewing Britain. You're lying. You're destroying Britain, the economy, unemployment, everything. Everything you do is destructive. So let's not do it. She says too many are not yet able to feel it. Yeah, well, actually, a lot of people are feeling it. An awful lot of people. And many, many more will feel it as their jobs disappear from under them. Anyway, she goes and says that the total departmental budgets will grow 2.3 annually in real terms. Will they? I don't think they will. Considering you've already announced cuts. That sounds like bullshit. Now, if you're dividing it over the whole of government, maybe, but you're only going to target certain areas. But 2.3 in real terms? Who's paying for that in real terms? We know, don't we? We know. Borrowing and taxation. They're going to borrow and borrow and borrow until there's no more money left. Then they're going to fingers cross that interest rates around the world will be kind and that people won't call in their debts. She said that the choices that she's allowed to make today were only possible because of the commitment to economic stability and to the decisions I have made. Love, every one of your decisions has been abomination. It's been every time, deliberately, I think, the wrong decision. You haven't made anything right. And as for economic stability, well, I suppose when the economy's dead, it's stable. She then, and this is weird, she really attacked him. She had a go at Nigel Farage because he backed a little mini budget of Truss, saying it was the best Conservative budget since the 1980s. Here's the thing. When Truss gave that budget, nearly 4 years ago now, Britain wasn't anywhere near as big in the hole as it is today. Its debt was half of what it is today. And we've only had a Labour government for 10 months. So it's a bit rich for her. 2.6% GDP by April 2027. Intelligence included, will be going on to defence. Well, it's supposed to be 3%. 2.6 isn't a lot. And Trump wants it to be 5% immediately. So, hey, NATO are pushing for 3.5% by 2035. Putting it up at that rate, you're not going to get there. But 600 million is being spent on intelligence. Start, please, with the 650 of them in Westminster. They need some intelligence. And 11 billion defence boost overall. Yes, but they've already announced they're building all these submarines, but they're not actually employing sailors to go in them. What are they going to do? Sit there, look shiny and slowly rot. 4.5 billion investment in munitions. Again, it's great having all those bullets and missiles and whatever. But who's going to be pulling the triggers? You haven't got any soldiers yet. Funding for Border Security Command. Is that so that you can bring them in even quicker? 280 million a year per year by the end of the spending review. So a quarter of a billion pound a year to help bring them in quicker. Presumably more boats going in. Come this way. Come here. We got better houses, hotels. Look at this one. It's nice. It's right by a school. She said hotel use for asylum seekers will end in this parliament. Bullshit. Bullshit. And I'll come to that. There's a video coming later. But when you see how many people are coming in, there's no way you're going to do it. What are they going to do? Close down the hotels and just put them in people. You've got a spare room. Put them in your spare room. I don't want one. Tough. That's the rule now. If you've got a spare room, you've got to take an asylum seeker. As they like to call them. Illegal immigrant, as we call them. Nuclear power announcement. Yeah, we've already knew about that. 30 billion commitment. SMR program with Rolls-Royce. Now, it's good that it's Rolls-Royce. It's a British company building them. It'll be run by British Nuclear Fuels Limited in Britain. All profits going back into Britain. No foreign ownership whatsoever. That's the one thing I'm actually saying good on. But it really does annoy the Greens, even though it fills every one of their little spunk bubbles, doesn't it? Because it's clean, it's green, it doesn't produce carbon, But they still don't like it because they're arseholes. Funding for the third carbon capture project. They haven't built the first one yet. No one has ever built one that works. And now they're announcing a third one. Excellent. Why? Another 30 billion up the Swanee. But apparently they've got lots of money. Can't get rid of the farmers' inheritance tax. But they've got 30 billion to build a piece of shit that won't work. That everybody knows won't work. And that has failed every time it's been tried. GB energy investment. Well, it'd be nice. They haven't got any offices. They haven't got any people. But they're going to wank more money into that just to give Miliband a little bit of a wet dream, Reeves, she came out and she said, businesses want the chance to innovate. Yes, they are, and they're all innovating their way to foreign countries, aren't they, love? British Business Bank, she said, to be beefed up. You mean she's going to go and put some silly old cow in charge? 1.2 billion a year by the end of the spending on training and upskilling. But training and upskilling who? The new Brits. A new affordable homes programme. 39 billion invested over the next decade. Yeah, sure, love, sure. Affordable homes. Define affordable home. Because it basically means one that sells for 10% below market value. In other words, more or less just over build cost. It's not affordable if it's still £300,000 though, is it? And that's how much houses are going to cost now because of all the uplift in all the charges, all the bureaucracy, all the national insurance, etc. Your standard sort of 2 up, 2 down, mid-terrace home is going to be £250,000. New. What's affordable about that? She's going to say a new green book, presumably for her to colour in. But don't give her the purple crayons. She's going to announce plans. Of course she is, because announcing is cheap. Announce plans for Northern Powerhouse Rail. Remember the Northern Powerhouse they kept talking about that never happened, never ever turned out? Well, now she wants to build a railway for the Northern Powerhouse that doesn't exist. Where's it going to? Starting at doesn't exist yet, Ville, and going to it's Scotch Misk Town. Chugging along, do we fuck all because we don't exist? I mean, seriously, the woman's delusional. A £3 bus fare cap. Isn't that a 50% increase? What's £2? Anyway, £3 bus fare cap extended till March 2027. Free school meals. Woohoo! £370 million for school-based nurseries that give free school meals. Guarantee there'll be no pork products in there, though, because, politics. 130 million from the dormant asset scheme will be allocated to facilities for our young people for music, sport, drama and libraries. Libraries? Who the hell goes to libraries anymore? Everything is Wikipedia. If you want to learn, you go online. Want to read a book? You go online. Nobody goes to libraries. This is why libraries are dying. They're marvellous things. They're brilliant things to have. But let's just call them what they are. Where ghosts go to die, where ghost books go to die. Keep them, sure, for archiving actual books, I get it. But, you don't need libraries anymore. It's like, oh yes, where are you going for? I'm going for my... And younger people won't know what this is. But it's where I store my 78s. Unlike Cynthia, oh God, unlike Samantha. Yeah, she always liked to get her fingers round a good 7-incher. God, he'll never be dead, will he? Anyway, 13.2 billion, she's announced, will be spent on home insulation. That's because British homes are so poorly insulated. And they have to put the 13.2 billion in. Won't do that many houses, it'll do some. So that they can then, once they've done that, say, oh, now you've got to get a heat pump. So resist that one, I would. She attacks Farage for going to the Westminster Arms. This was the bar that had problems with people spiking drinks. Is she trying to allude that it was Farage spiking drinks? I think not. And why shouldn't Farage go to the pub? It's not illegal. I go to the pub occasionally. Nice. 3% cash increase every year to the NHS. Oh, that's nice. 3% cash every year, even when inflation is running at more than 3%. So, real terms cut for the NHS. Good move. And then the statement was over. And then Mel Stride gets up. He's the opposition leader. And he points out that there was no mention of specific pushing of the 3% target on defence. No dates given. And he said it's funny how the first tax cuts the Chancellor has announced were for Mauritius. Ah, bless. Sorry it's a long one, but there was a lot to get through. Thank you very much. But we are in deep, deep trouble. Oh, by the way, where's she going to get it? She has announced now it's going to be mostly borrowing with more tax increases. Expect income tax rises in the next budget. Thanks a lot. Goodbye.